I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
Well, we recently went to Marin and then to Maui and had an amazing time. We left from here, and this is not Yosemite, by the way. This is Mount Tamalpais, a waterfall of Mount Tamalpais, which is north of San Francisco. And the week before we left for Maui, Yosemite, thank you. We're in Maui. I need to come back from Yosemite and be in Maui. The week before we left for Marin and then Yosemite, we were checking the weather constantly, because you might know, maybe you were aware, but the Sierra's got a tremendous amount of snow this year, the most in recorded history. So as a result, water was flowing through Yosemite Valley. And so much so that 2 campgrounds were closed and many of the hikes were closed. And there was a time when the valley was actually flooded, right? And so, we're doing this trip, and the reason we're going to Yosemite is to hike, because we love to hike. And we're thinking, well, what do we want to go to Yosemite and just slosh around in the water in the valley, right? So we called the people that we're renting the cabin from and said, hey, can we change our plans? And they were like, sorry, you can change your plans, you can cancel your plans, but we're keeping your money. And so we're thinking, well, so what can we do? So we decided we're going to go anyway. Right? And we're going to make the best of it no matter what happens, right? We're just going to be there. We're going to have a good time, and it's going to be awesome. Even though we had this little bit of trepidation about the fact that, we might not be the vacation that we planned. So we thought, okay, we're going to be there. We're going to be present. We're going to let go of our expectations and just go and enjoy it. And if it means that we slosh around in the valley, right? Or if we sit in our cabin and play games, we're going to have a good time. And, right? And so, we went to Marin. We spent a week in Marin, had a great time. And then we were heading to Yosemite. And, generally it takes about 4 or 5 hours to drive from Marin to Yosemite. Well, the traffic was so bad. I haven't driven in Southern California in a long time, or we haven't. And the traffic was so bad, and Waze was directing us around all the traffic. It didn't take us 5 hours to get to Yosemite. It took us 8 hours to get there. And because we'd be going one way, and then Waze would say, oh, no, take this exit and veer across over this way. Oh, we go that way for a little while. And then it'd say, oh, okay, get off the highway here and veer across over this way. And we're like, shoot, we're only going a couple of miles at a time. What's going on here? It's like, it felt almost like the universe was conspiring to give us a lousy vacation, right? But we're like, nope, we are going to stand in the truth. We're going to let go, and we're going to have a good time, right? And so we did get there to our cabin, and we spent the night. Oh, and I have to say, the weather prediction for the whole week that we were going to be there was rain every day. And so we're like, oh my goodness. So not only is there a snow problem, but there's also going to be a rain problem. So we did go to REI and got ponchos, right? We are prepared to slosh around the valley with ponchos on and make the best of it. Oh my goodness. So the next day we woke up and it was in the low 70s. And it was beautiful, right? The weather was gorgeous every day. Got up close to 80 a couple days, and it was amazing. And the waterfalls in the valley were spectacular, the best in recorded history. Wow. So I thought I'd show you some pictures. This picture is Inspiration Point, probably one of the most photographed places in the world. And on the right, you can see that is Bridal Veil Falls. And if you look closely, you'll see way in the back Half Dome, kind of peeking up over the top of another previous mountain. So this is what we saw when we drove into the valley every day. And this is a picture of Bridal Veil Falls, which is usually kind of a trickle, right? But this time it was full on powerful spraying waterfall. To get up close to it like you can do, we got soaked. We had ponchos. And this is Yosemite Falls. So amazing. And this is kind of on the left of the valley as you drive in. And then this is Vernal Falls. And you might know, those of you who are familiar with Yosemite, to go, say, to hike Half Dome, if you're so brave, you go up Vernal Falls and you go up Nevada Falls. So there's another falls beyond this one. And here's Emily in her really fashionable poncho, getting ready to take this hike. And thank goodness we did have our ponchos on. And then this is a little closer to Vernal Falls. And it was just around the next corner that we walked into all of this spray. And it was like taking a shower with 50 or 60 people that were also there. And, quite a intense hike to get to that point. And this is a view of Half Dome. I just love this picture. And this is another picture of Half Dome. And this is a picture from Mirror Lake. And you can see why it's called Mirror Lake. And I may be talking about another picture that Emily took of this same scene next week because it fits in with my talk next week. So that was Yosemite. My goodness. And I know that the reason that we had a good time was because we were able to discover the science of grace. Right? Of just being okay with what is and realizing that everything is perfect and that we were able to practice some things that I'm going to talk about today to experience the fullness of the moment and release the expectations that we had so that we could be totally present. So the science of grace, and this talk is really the science of grace and how do we align with the divine? With the presence of Spirit, the presence of love, the presence of God, the presence of the Creator, whatever you want to call it. So the idea of grace has bothered me for a long time. And so I wanted to explore it, and it's really why I did this talk, because I wanted to understand what grace was. Now, I was raised a Christian. Anybody else raised in Christianity? So my definition of grace, the way Christianity sees it, is, or the grace of God, what is a virtue given to believers by God, which liberates them from bondage and enables them to experience salvation and a life of purpose and fulfillment. Grace is the unmerited favor of God that enables believers to respond to His call and live according to His will. I have some problems with that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. You might guess based on the emphasis where my problems are, right? So then I thought, okay, let's look at some other spiritual paths and see how they define grace. So Hinduism says that grace is the compassionate presence of the divine within us and around us that guides us to our true nature and our purpose. Ooh, I gotta say, I like that much better. In Islam, grace is the kind intervention of Allah in our lives that grants guidance, forgiveness, and mercy. That's not bad. Now, the Judaism is grace is the loving kindness of the Creator that sustains us and inspires us to do good deeds and serve others. That's pretty cool. And then Taoism says grace is the harmonious flow of the Tao, or the way, that aligns us with our natural state of balance and peace. Of all of them, that's one I like the best so far. So, I've wrestled with this idea of grace really all of my life. Even when I was a Christian, I kind of was like, wow, that's just something about that definition of grace as I saw it being a traditional Christian didn't work for me. I always thought, how can God be a spiritual being that makes decisions based on his thinking or feeling about us, right? So grace kind of works for one person and it doesn't work for somebody else. I used to hate it when maybe I didn't, hate's a strong word, but when somebody said, oh, such and such happened because of the grace of God. Or, I was blessed because of the grace of God. I always thought, what led God to make such a decision about you? Right? Not favor you and not me. Why does God choose to give grace to one person and not somebody else? Ever wonder that? But now I realize, and this is amazing for me, I realized that grace is a principle of the universe. As such, grace is not a condition that is bestowed on us, but rather a principle that is consistent with our consciousness and is constant and does not change. So here's the definition of grace that I came up with. And it's in two parts. This is the first part. Grace is when we feel peaceful, joyful, grateful, because we live in harmony with the principles of love, truth, justice, forgiveness, and letting go. Second part, grace is not something we earn or deserve or are granted by a spiritual being. Grace is a natural result of practicing these principles that connect us with our higher self and the universe. Doesn't that make more sense for those of us who follow unity principles that grace is a science. God, some people refer to God as principle, right? Because God is consistent. God doesn't make decisions based on preferences. God's laws work for everyone. Right? Amen. So grace is a scientific principle because it is unwavering and responds to universal laws. When we change our thinking, what happens? We change our life. We change our circumstances. When we change our perspective, it changes the way we perceive what is happening. And that we can find peace and love and joy and happiness when we change the way we're thinking and let go of preconceived expectations. Wow, doesn't that make sense? That to me was like, wow, where's my V8? Boom. That just makes so much sense now. So for us in our trip, when we let go and literally got into the flow, right, the universe just opened up for us. It's like all of a sudden, whatever happens, we're going to have a good time. We're going to be present. We're going to find love. We're going to find joy. We're going to find peace by just letting go. So what is the significance of grace? Well, grace represents divine love. Grace is the unadulterated expression of love that's available to us all of the time in our lives. Grace is a catalyst for spiritual awakening, right? Because if we're not in a graceful place, right? If we're finding that things are challenging us or that we're upset or that we're angry or something is disturbing us, it's not because of the thing that's disturbing us. It's because we get to do some spiritual work to change the way that we're thinking, to experience the fullness of the presence that's in the moment. Grace is associated with healing and forgiveness. As soon as we can get into that place and accept the grace that's there, healing happens. Forgiveness happens. And grace is connected to the principle of co-creation. Right? Once we can get out of our ego and our expectations and just be in the moment, all of a sudden we are co-creating with the essence of Spirit that is there and moving in and through us right now as us. In the process of writing this talk, I became familiar with Kathleen Dowling Singh, who wrote the book titled The Grace of Dying, A Message of Hope, Comfort, and Spiritual Transformation. And she worked in hospice for a long time, and she realized with working with people that were dying, she saw how they changed and how they began to let go, how they began to be present to the moment. And she was like, wow, that's the grace in dying, the great teacher, to watch people change the way that they are thinking, feeling, and believing on their deathbed. And she said, and so she wrote about it and said, there's something that we can learn here from these people that are dying. And she says that grace opens us up again to experiencing the fullness of ourselves and experiencing the fullness of our spiritual transformation that's always available to us. So just as a reminder, grace is when we feel peaceful. This is what we feel like when we're in grace. Peaceful, joyful, grateful. Because we live in harmony with the principles of truth, of love, of forgiveness, and letting go. You know, grace, again, is not something we earn. The presence of God that's everywhere gives it to everyone. Right? It's really not even like it gives it to us, because it is who we are, right? When we open up and practice these principles, we feel a sense of grace. It's not something given by a superior being, but it's a natural result of practicing these principles that connect us with our highest good, our highest power, and with the universe. Oprah Winfrey. Anybody know who Oprah is? One of the most influential and inspiring women in the world. And she says that she achieved remarkable success in her life, regardless of the difficulties that she had, by experiencing grace. And she wrote, or it was written about her in People magazine. She said, "Grace is the thing that has carried me here. Grace is the thing that sustains me. Grace is also the thing that allows me to be okay with myself. no matter what I've done or what I haven't done. Wow. Isn't that what it's all about? To really love ourselves enough to be in that place of grace and to love ourselves regardless of the mistakes we think we made or the opportunities we didn't take, but to realize that this moment is the most powerful moment that we have. Another famous woman is this one. Anybody know this? Maya Angelou. Right, renowned poet, author, and civil rights activist who faced many challenges in her life, often spoke of grace as being the source of her courage, the source of her resilience and her wisdom. And she believed that grace was a gift from God that helped her to overcome her fears and to let go. Wow. So, how can we experience grace in our lives? Experiencing grace and the sense of peace and love and joy comes from, or is a very personal journey for each of us. Each of us, what's amazing, all of us have our challenges, don't we? Right? All of us have the things that block us from experiencing the fullness of our God self, our spirit self. And so this, what I'm going to share with you are 9 different things that we can use to experience more grace in our lives. Now, and I know that you have done a few of these. You probably wouldn't be sitting here if you hadn't done some of these things before and practiced some of these techniques before. But bear with me through this list, because my hope is that you'll glean 1 or 2 things that you can do to help you to connect with the presence of grace within yourself. And the first thing that we can do is to cultivate mindfulness. We talk about this pretty much every Sunday here. It's about really doing our work so that we can be present in the moment, to do whatever it takes so we can be right here, right now. Because when we practice mindfulness, grace is here. Anybody ever felt grace in the midst of being mindful? Yeah, because it just opens us up. The second thing we can do is to cultivate gratitude. To have some kind of a practice. And I suggest that you do it every day. Just to spend time in gratitude, giving thanks for all of the beauty, for the love, for the joy, for the people, for the life that you have. Gratitude is one of the fastest moving attractors in the universe. As soon as we are grateful, we start attracting to us more of the things that we are grateful for. It's powerful. So we want to cultivate gratitude. And the next thing that we can do is to practice self-compassion, to really love yourself, to hug yourself, and to be thankful for yourself, for all that you are and all that you can be and all the challenges that you have. And by the way, all of this stuff is in the summary of the talk that we'll hand out at the end. And the next thing that we can do is to show kindness and compassion for others. And just have that be sort of what you walk out of your house with in the morning. This attitude that, I am just going to be compassionate today. I'm going to love everyone today. I'm going to come from my heart today. Interesting, when we do that, what do we experience? More love, right? Isn't that, it's so funny because this stuff is all so simple, but yet it's profound. And the next thing that we can do is to embrace acceptance. And that just means just to accept what is. Be in the flow. Whatever happens, even, you think the weather's going to be bad, it's going to screw up your trip. Just open your arms and accept it, because it is what it is. Does fighting the weather make any difference? Not so much, right? This fighting the people, the situations in your life, does it typically make any difference? Not usually. Sometimes, of course, we have to stand up for the things that we believe, but other times, most of the time, it's just about accepting what is. What does Byron Katie say about acceptance? She says, love what is. There's a famous quote that she says, Max, what is it?
Argue with what is, and you lose.
Huh?
But only all the time.
Yeah, she says, arguing with what is, you lose. And only 100% of the time, right? So just embrace whatever's happening, accept it. This is what it is. And it's interesting because when you do that, it helps you to be present to whatever is happening, right? And in a loving, wholehearted way rather than trying to resist and fight. Because we know that what we resist persists. And the next thing is have a connection with your higher power. Have a connection with your divine. Have some kind of a practice that helps you to get into that place where you are connected to your source, connected to love, connected to the essence of all life. And the next one is practice forgiveness and letting go. These might be, the letting go part, I think, has been a challenge for me a lot of my life. Anybody else? Right? I think practicing forgiveness and letting go might be two of the most powerful principles that we can use. Because as soon as we practice forgiveness, it opens up our heart, right? And oftentimes we think we forgive somebody for them, right? Right? And so we resist often forgiving somebody else, right? Because, I'm going to hang on to it. They're wrong and I'm right. Doggone it, I'm going to hang on to it, right? And the interesting thing is that when we don't forgive someone, the only one that gets hurt is us. Because they're off skiing or rollerblading or hiking or riding their bikes, right? And we're holding on to that resentment. So forgiveness and then letting go, as we talked about, was our experience in this whole trip, was just to let go. Let go. Change your perspective. Let it be what it is. And the next one is to practice self-reflection. Spend time in the silence. Spend time in meditation. Spend time in prayer. I think one of the most powerful exercises we can do is to say a prayer, something like, this thing is bothering me. Why is it bothering me? And what can I do about it? And then spend time in meditation and just listen. Because the answer comes at the same level as the problem does. We just often don't take time to really listen to what it is that we can do or change or be to solve the challenge that we have. So cultivate self-reflection. And the next thing is to surround yourself with grace and to seek out positive places to be, positive experiences, positive people to be around so that that's where your energy goes, right? If people in your life or situations in your life are difficult, if you can avoid them, right? Don't be with argumentative people. Don't be with people that are critical. Choose your path for love. Surround yourself with grace. Looking back on our trip, we used many of these practices to put ourselves in a place of grace. I believe that we would have experienced grace, good weather, no matter what happened. Because that was our attitude going into it. We let go of our expectations. We showed up. We did our work, and we were there, and we opened our hearts with love to whatever it was that showed up. You know, I don't think that our attitude had anything to do with creating the weather that we experienced, but we were so I hate to say blessed, because that again sounds like God saying, "Oh, I'm blessing you because you're in Yosemite and you're good people," right? But our experience was heightened because we were able to let go and to be totally present in the moment. We would have had a good time no matter what the weather was. The only regret that I have is that I wasn't able to beat Emily at a couple of games we brought. She did slaughter me in a couple, I have to say. So, grace is a natural result of practicing the principles that govern existence. The practical principles, the practical laws of the universe. When we are in alignment with universal truths, life becomes easier. We let go, we forgive, we love, we're present. Grace is not a reward or a punishment for our actions, but a natural result of practicing the principles that govern existence. When we live in harmony with these principles, such as love, truth, justice, peace, joy, and gratitude, that's what we experience. And remember, the experience of grace is unique to everyone. So it's essential to explore, to discover, and to practice the principles that you know. And you will create a foundation for experiencing grace wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And you will find love, truth, peace, and joy. And our affirmation is to help us remember that is, I am grateful for the grace that flows through my life, bringing me peace and harmony. Let's say that together. I am grateful for the grace that flows through my life, bringing me peace and harmony.
Point in our service where we prepare for the meditation, and we've got this song down. We're going to continue where we left off. Grace, I can feel it. I need more words up there. Grace, thank you. I can feel it. Grace, I am grateful. Grace flowing through me. Grace bringing harmony. I invite you to join me in that. Grace, I can feel it. Grace, I'm grateful. Grace flowing through me. Grace bringing harmony.
I invite you to close your eyes and bring your attention to your breath, breathing in gently and breathing out. Feeling the grace that's in this moment. Feeling the peace, the love, and the joy that's right here. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Think of a time when you experience grace. Perhaps you can feel the feeling that you got in this amazing moment. Perhaps you felt at one with the universe. Perhaps you felt peaceful. Perhaps you felt love. Breathing in, breathing out. Can you remember the thought that brought you to grace? Perhaps a thought of letting go. Perhaps a thought of bringing love to the situation, to the person, to yourself. Perhaps the grace was a experience of forgiveness for yourself or someone else. Breathing in. Imagine that you can feel the peace, the joy, and even can turn up the amplitude of this feeling to allow the peace to fill your mind, to fill your body, perhaps to feel the vibration in every cell, in every space, every tissue, every thought. Perhaps you can feel this energy moving in you, flowing as you. Perhaps you can even get a sense that it's moving outside your being into the world. Breathing in. And let's take just a moment or two to behold this graceful feeling in the silence. Breathing in and out. Allow yourself to be grateful for the grace that you feel. Grateful for the truth that brought you to this place. Grateful to the universal idea, principle. Grateful for your spiritual path, for the way that the presence of Spirit, of God, of love is manifesting and expressing as you. Breathing in, breathing out. And slowly and gently allowing your awareness to return to this moment. And to open your eyes and experience the amazing grace that's all around you. And so it is. Wow. Well, this time I invite you to prepare your love offerings. What we offer here on Sunday mornings is free, but I have to say your offerings sure help us to do the work that we get to do and to support us in so many ways. Wow, I'm still kind of in emotional shock here.
You're in grace.
I'm in grace. I'm embraced in grace. I'm so graceful and full of grace at this moment. So, thank you. It's our sincere hope that the love that we share and the sangha, or the community that we have, supports you on your journey. That's really, that's the beauty, I think, of what Unity offers, Unity on Maui and Unity throughout the world, and Centers for Spiritual Living, is an opportunity to be together in community and to know that you're loved and supported and encouraged to be all that you are. I feel like we're so blessed to be part of a spiritual path that is so open and transformative and loving. So I guess that's all I want to say about that. I'll save the rest of it for next week's sermon talk. And if you're watching on Facebook, you can go to Unity on Maui's webpage and make a really safe and lovely donation there. It's www.unityonmaui.org. And thank you for also being with us today and participating in consciousness. So as we hold our gifts, let's affirm and pray together our affirmation and our prayer for prosperity, which begins, through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. Namaste. Loving Spirit, thank you for these gifts that have come to us in love. We hold them, we embrace them, we give thanks for them, knowing that they are moving through our lives, through this ministry, across this beautiful island, and out into the world. And we behold a world filled with love, with light, with joy, and with peace. And so it is. Namaste. I want to also thank Al Cantorna and our board members for all the work that they do we are so blessed to have so many people that are part of this ministry. Thanks, Al.
And thank you, Blaine.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank Robin. Robin, my God. All right. So let's see. I got a couple announcements today. Let's see. What do we have here? Oh, today's flowers. We have 2 donators for today's flowers. The bouquet on top is presented by Al Cantorna in celebration of his dad's birthday. And so let's give a hand to Al and to his dad. And the lower bouquet of flowers is donated by Kate Newman, who's celebrating her 80th birthday on Tuesday. Wow. Thank you, Kate. And if you would like to donate flowers some Sunday morning and have them up here and for us to recognize a special occasion in your life, there's a sign-up sheet in the back, and just pick a date, put your name down and how you'd like the flowers donated, and then just bring them and we'll celebrate with you your special occasion on that day. Let's see. Did anybody here attend the meditation this last week? Was it good? It was good. Yeah. Let me see. Lost my place here for a second. Oh, okay. Here we go. Prashanti was here and did a Kundalini meditation. Does it every Tuesday from 6 p.m. till 7:15. And she talks a little bit and does this amazing meditation. And she's going to be doing that every week. So just so you know, she's a lovely person. And so come and experience that. It's another great way to be connected with Source. And let's see. Was this crystal sound bath meditation last night? Okay, it was scheduled. Okay, that's right. I knew it was scheduled for last night, and I was hoping maybe there'd be a new time for the next one, but I understand there isn't yet. Carrie's off island, so we'll get her beamed in, and when she comes back, we'll do it again. And also, Mike Fleenor is doing the Bamboo Waterfall hike on Saturday, June 24th. And if you're interested in taking this amazing hike, give Mike a call and make reservations, and he'll tell you how you can make that happen. And let's see, next Sunday my talk is titled "Things Aren't Always What They Seem." Okay, breathe. You're being hypnotized. Now, if you think that I applied some kind of special effects to make that move, it's not true. That is happening in your mind, the fact that it looks like it's moving. And so it's an example of things aren't always what they seem. And I've noticed in life that sometimes things aren't always what they seem. And sometimes I have responded to things that were happening thinking they were one thing, and it was something totally different. You? Right? How often do we do that? We make a judgment. We assume that somebody's, criticizing us or belittling us or not listening to us, right? And then we react to that situation. So next week, we're going to look at how can we change our perspective and come from a place of truth in the midst of something that doesn't look like it's what it is. So that'll be fun. Next Sunday at 10 o'clock. All right, then. Oh, and if you enjoyed today's talk and you're like, gosh, how can I remember all that stuff? I've got a summary. I call it Walk Your Talk. I think it's on blue paper in the back. And you're welcome to take a copy of that and take it home with you and remember what we talked about today.
Green paper.
Okay. Is it green or blue? It's green today.
It's
all
green
right.
today.
All right. Well, let's start to bring our little service to a close. I invite you to stand up and take a breath. Bless you. And we'll pray the prayer of protection together. And let's say it together. Together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Thank you for being here today. God bless you. God bless you out there in Facebook land.
Where I live, there are rain.